Hollywood, it's America's #1 pop music show, America's Top 10 with Casey Kasem. This week you'll see Ashford and Simpson, Rick Springfield, Aldo Nova, our interview with the Righteous Brothers, plus exclusive reviews of the Top 10 on Billboard's Pop, Soul, Country, and Album charts for the week ending June 6, 1982. Now, here's Casey Kasem.
Thank you, Charlie Tuna, and hello again, everybody. Welcome to America's Top 10. Let's get right to the action on the Billboard Pop Singles chart and check out the 10 biggest hits this week. Leaping in from number 16 to number 10 is the second top 10 hit for a six-man band from L.A. made up of studio musicians, Toto with Rosanna. Falling 3 notches to number 9 is the man from Marietta, Georgia, Paul Davis and 65 Love Affair. Debuting at number 8 is the first hit for a 4-man band from England with a 4-letter name, Asia, and Heat of the Moment. Country legend Willie Nelson climbs a notch this week to number 7 in his first top 10 appearance on the pop chart, Always on My Mind. Up a notch to number 6, the second of 2 British bands in the top 10, The Human League from London, and Don't You Want Me. Holding for a third week at number 5, Ray Parker Jr. with his 4th top 10 hit, the former Detroiter singing The Other Woman. At number 4 is a band that last hit back in 1980 with the song Angels Say No, Tommy Two-Tone and 867-5309 Jenny. Standing firm at number 3 for a third week is a woman we'll be interviewing in our show next week, Charlene, and I've Never Been to Me. At number 2, the third week at that position for Rick Springfield and his third top 10 hit in his last 4 chart outings, the song Don't Talk to Strangers. And holding at number 1 for a 4th week are a pair of superstars who've been on the pop chart a combined total of 142 times. Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder with the biggest song in the land this week, Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony and Ivory live together.
Now our Pop Spotlight Song of the Week. As you may remember, the cover of Rick Springfield's album, Working Class Dog, featured a photograph of his pet bull terrier, Ron, complete with shirt and tie and Rick in his pocket. Rick says that as a result of that cover appearance, Ron started getting his own fan mail and even received presents of dog bones last Christmas. Well, Ron the Bull Terrier is back for a second appearance on Rick's latest album, but he's not a working class dog anymore. Here he is in a limousine with gold chains and sunglasses, seated between a pair of fluffy white poodles. And that's Rick himself serving them champagne and dog biscuits. You know, 6 of the 10 acts in the survey are making their very first appearances in the top 10 on the album chart. At number 10, it's the Scorpions with the album titled Blackout. Willie Nelson's first top 10 album on the pop chart, Always on My Mind. At number 8 is Aldo Nova with his self-titled LP. At number 7, The Human League from England with the album titled Dare. At number 6, Vangelis with a soundtrack from Chariots of Fire. And at number 3 is the new British supergroup called Asia. A lot of fresh talent on the album chart, and some old-timers as well. With the most popular album in the land for a second week, Paul McCartney with his 7th number 1 LP since leaving the Beatles. McCartney and Tug of War.
We're trying to outdo each other in a tug of war.
Now our album spotlight song of the week. It's by a man who up until just a few months ago spent 4 nights a week on stage doing an imitation of Beatle George Harrison. In fact, this musician, whose real name is Aldo Scaparuccio, spent the past 3 years surrounded by 3 other musicians imitating John, Paul, and Ringo in a Canadian production of the musical Beatlemania. But he says, I wasn't happy doing that. I wasn't learning anything. People weren't looking at me. They were looking at George Harrison. I wanted them to be cheering for me. End of quote. This week, Aldo Scaparuccio, performing as Aldo Nova, is in our album spotlight with a song from his debut LP. Here's Fantasy. From his debut album, Aldo Nova in our album spotlight with Fantasy. Now, our trivia question. A viewer in Hawaii wants to know if any group has ever hit number 1 with its first hit record. Well, many groups have hit that top spot with their first hit record, and one group even went to number 1 with their first 4 chart records. A five-man family act. Details coming up. There's a new trend in San Diego that may soon spread all over the country. It consists of combining sports events with rock concerts, and the results have been terrific. So far, both a combination soccer game, Jefferson Starship concert, and a baseball game, Beach Boys concert, have managed to sell out the 52,000-seat San Diego Stadium. Tickets for the combined events went for as little as $6.50 and nearly tripled the stadium's average attendance. Could happen around the country. Now, let's answer our trivia question. Comes to us from Koa Amona, who watches the show on Channel 9 in Honolulu. Koa wants to know if any group ever hit #1 with its first chart single. Well, in the rock era, it's happened to a lot of groups. More recently, it happened with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. They went to #1 and stayed at the top spot for 7 consecutive weeks with I Love Rock and Roll. And there's one supergroup that even went to #1 with their first 4 chart singles. It's a 5-man family act who began their chart career late in 1969 with a #1 smash called I Want You Back. Then ABC. Then The Love You Save. And then their 4th #1 in a row, I'll Be There. 4 #1s, their first 4 times at bat for the Jackson 5. And there's your answer, Cole. The Jackson 5 hold the record for groups beginning their careers with the most consecutive #1 hits. Thanks for writing in.
And because America's Top 10 used Koa's question, Koa will receive a collection of Chaz Cologne and Aftershave, the fragrance that's almost as interesting as the men who wear it. Clean, crisp, and manly. Chaz, furnished by Revlon. And a hairdryer from Ace Comb. Ordinary combs can be rough on your hair. Ace Professional Style hard rubber combs are hand-finished. Won't pull hair or split ends. Pamper your hair with Ace. And from Akai for great sound, beautifully styled match components including AM/FM stereo receiver, a set of match speakers, and stereo cassette deck. Remember Akai, you never heard it so good.
Well, that wraps up our show for this week. Now, next week, join us again. We'll see performances by Eddie Rabbitt, the Human League, and a very interesting interview with Charlene. Till then, keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.